Welcome. This is the Rambling Biker. So the point of this video is to show, really it's a bit of a test for me, a bit of an endurance test and a trial run, fully loaded. I've got a trip coming up to a very exciting destination in April. All will be revealed shortly, but yeah, I wanted to load up the bike as though I was going to that destination, so I've actually got everything with me on this trip that I'm taking with me in April. The bags were all shown for a split second right at the beginning of this video. You'll probably see there, if you look closely, that there's two soft pannier bags, and I've also got a kind of a tail roll bag, and I've got my top box. I've got a little bag that I put right inside the top box, so when I stop I can just lift that straight out. The panniers also just lift straight off, real simple, and the tail bag is just a couple of straps strapped on. So yeah, I wanted to take all that stuff with me and load the bike up and go out. But looking particularly for a bad weather day. Well, I definitely won on that occasion. On this occasion, it was a horrible day. It was between 2 and 4 degrees all day that day. It was drizzly. It was sleeting. It was very cold on the bike. There were the forecast was for snow. At one point I thought, oh gosh, that really isn't the test that I want. I don't want to slide. But luckily, I don't think, well, it didn't snow. My plan was to go from home to Bristol and using Calimoto on the windy setting, not the twisty setting, that's the third setting. So you've got the motorway, then you've got fast non-motorway, then you've got windy, which is what I used for this, and then twisty. And yes, I made one very very silly mistake from the outset. I don't know why, but for some reason I didn't put the helmet camera on, or I thought it was on and it didn't record. I did have a lot of problems actually. I couldn't hear instructions, so I turned my Bluetooth communication on and off and on and off a couple of times. I never really checked the camera. I just figured that was working. It always works. So I obviously didn't switch it on. It's a bit of a pain. Anyway, this video is mainly for me. It's really a test of using the camera. I wanted to actually use the helmet camera and the secondary camera. That's where what you're actually seeing is the footage from the secondary camera, which has got no mic connected up to my helmet cam. So there's me talking away now, of course, but of course that camera's not picking up anything that I'm talking about. I remember saying that I was absolutely loving this drive. Even though it was wet and drizzly and miserable, I was really loving it because it was a brilliant test. And I had a heated jacket on, and that was absolutely fantastic. The Macna Center jacket was actually too warm a lot of the time. I had to turn it off a couple of times. Then I discovered that when it came on, it kept coming on at the hottest setting. So I need to resolve how to make sure that I'm in control of that heat setting. The other thing it was a really good test for, as well as the motorcycling was the main thing. So how did it handle? How did it feel with that extra weight? I think I had about 23 kilos actually. I've got a sort of, I had about 40 litres in the tail bag, which is pretty much full. The two soft panniers each can take up to 20 litres. I didn't have anywhere near that. And the top box, I had that pretty full. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to test how it felt to ride, and it felt absolutely fine. Tire pressures were good, and made sure everything was strapped down well. Like you can see, the roads are definitely wet, greasy, but the bike handled very well. It did feel different, and that was a very good test for me to know how it feels and feel confident. I didn't have to do any really narrow filtering. I did do some overtaking of line of traffic that was waiting for some roadworks. You'll see me go past them in a minute. But yeah, it was a very good test. I was very happy to have done this, and on the whole, I was just happy the whole time. I loved it. I did find it quite difficult to find somewhere to stop. That's the only problem with Calimoto, in a way. I actually wanted it to take me to a coffee shop after a couple of hours so I could get a little break, but it kept taking me on all these country winding roads, really beautiful, lovely roads. In the summer, wow, when there's no rain around, this will be a beautiful, beautiful route to take. So yeah, I've got that saved. Something coming up here, I think. Oh yeah, this is my going through some pretty decent water. I don't know whether you saw those headlights flash. I think this was a Jag. I thought at the time it was a Volvo, but on reflection now, having a look, I think that's a Jag. I did thank him. Obviously you can't see me nodding my head. If I'd been using the helmet cam, you would have seen that, but you're seeing this camera, which is the DJI Action 5 Pro, is fixed to my crash bars, so it doesn't move with the handlebars. It just looking forward the whole time. That's an interesting idea. Later on, I did an epilogue. Later on in the epilogue, I moved the camera so it's facing backwards, and that enables me to get two very different angles, and that's really nice actually to flick between the two. As you can see, these roads are beautiful roads. They're just not, the weather wasn't with me. I got the bike absolutely filthy. As you can imagine, there is sort of gunk and salt and all sorts on those roads. Here, I think, again, you can't see because I was looking left and right. There's lakes left and right of me as I'm going round and round here. It's very weird. It's quite a narrow strip of land, but you don't get to see that here. It's probably only like 30-40 meters across, and then there's lakes both sides. I think this is where I'm coming up towards the traffic jam, which I just zoomed past. As I say, no real test of width with the panniers on, because it wasn't queuing traffic coming at me as well. It's just literally in one direction. I don't really want to waste a whole load of time with you just watching me go past all these cars, so I think I speed the footage up just about now. It's a bit of fun. I wasn't going that fast, of course. I can't remember if this is ×4. I think it might be ×4, or it might be times more than that. I can't remember. It might be ×8. Anyway, that made a very sort of boring 5 minutes just pass in about 30 seconds, I think. What else can I say? It was about 206 miles all in. I left later than I wanted to. That was another good bit of learning. It took me a long time to actually leave because why? Well, it started pouring with rain, so I was all packed up, ready to go, and then I thought I'll put the camera on. Of course, the camera's at the bottom of the bag. I had to take that out, and then of course I had to repack the bag. So that's learning. Make sure the camera's out. In fact, load the camera on. Just make sure the batteries are out and accessible, because I did run out after a couple of hours and I couldn't be bothered to go and find the batteries. And then of course I was literally very close to ready to go, camera on and everything. The heavens opened, so I thought, okay, good test. Let me put my overalls on, my rainproofs, see how long that takes. I knew exactly where they were. They were very accessible, but I'm not the most flexible person, and that took a while, about 10 minutes, just to put them on in the rain. And I was in the rain putting them on. I think I actually went into the passageway outside my house to try and sort of emulate finding somewhere with a bit of dryness to put them on. But that's another good note. But anyway, by the time I'd done that, 10 minutes had passed, and then by the time I left, as I say, it was pretty late. So I wanted to do another hour, but I didn't have the time. That said, it was a very good test anyway. And yeah, snacks is the other thing. I didn't have any snacks with me. No, that's not true. I had one, but I didn't get a chance to really stop and eat it. But the time I did stop, it was a petrol station and a Greggs, so I managed to get a cup of coffee and a sausage roll. That was fine. This music, by the way, is I just found on a royalty-free set of downloadable musics. So thank you to the artists who supplied these tracks. It's just something to have in the background while there's no commentary going on apart from the voiceover, which of course I'm doing now. So, as I say, I recorded about 2.5 hours worth of footage. It's another learning piece. That was really hard to bring down to a manageable number of minutes. I was aiming for 10 to 15 minutes. I think this has ended up being just under 14 minutes, which wouldn't be too bad for the 5-6 hour ride that I did. It would have been nicer if I'd had the two cameras to flick between. As I say, I learned how to do that now, and you'll see in the epilogue me doing that. Yeah, the epilogue is quite, in retrospect, quite funny. It wasn't funny at the time, but it relates to the bike getting extremely dirty and me thinking, oh, it'd be a really good picture, fully loaded, full of dirt. Anyway, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this few minutes with me, and I certainly had a brilliant time out on the roads. Can't wait to do this on the European trip. More later. Bye for now.